Yeah, for sure. I think it's, for me, obviously a great opportunity. I've been here for some years now, and so just being able to watch our team grow, but now, with me at the helm of it, just making sure that, we keep going in the same direction and keep the tradition, I think has been the most exciting for me.
And of course, taking over for the first year, has there been some growing pains taking over and transitioning from Coach Cochran?
Absolutely. More so just for me, just kind of being unsure, and then the relationships changing from assistant coach to head coach now, having to demand a little bit more and make sure that, the areas where Coach Cochran was great and discipline, just making sure that we continue those and making sure the girls are, reaching their full potential.
And how quickly has the team sort of caught on to what you guys are now trying to do under your tenure?
It's really more the same. Just making sure we play fast, we play hard, we play really good defense. And we try to create as much, just turmoil for the other teams that we're playing against. And so just making sure that those are our foundation. Like that's the foundation of what we do, and just maintaining that.
And were you here for all 6 years that Cochran's here? Were you here?
No, so I got here the year after his first year. Yeah.
And so now taking over for a coach like that, of course, you see the banners up there and you see the success over the years that he was here. Does that come with any sort of added pressure taking a position like that?
No, I don't think it's any added pressure. I think it's just knowing that this is the standard, and just making sure that we maintain that, and just keep the Raider tradition alive, and knowing that anytime we step on the court, we're going to give it our all. We're going to play as tough as we can, and make sure we represent this community very well.
And being able to be an assistant coach with somebody like him, do you think that sort of helped establish you a little bit and help you be more prepared for taking?
Absolutely. I've known Coach Cochran for more than half of my life. He was my high school coach, and so obviously being under his tutelage, and then making sure that everything I saw him do, just making sure I implement that in my own way, of course, but the things that he laid, the foundation that he set, just for these girls, as far as their discipline and their attention to detail, it's really important, and I'm just trying to make sure that we stay the course with that.
And I know that Cochran had a pretty long tenure with some other schools. Where did you guys cross over?
At Liberty Ilo High School in Texarkana.
And so was he your coach for every year that you were there?
Yes, he was.
And talk about that sort of dynamic and what that was like when he was your coach.
Absolutely, a very hard-nosed guy, but he loves you, and he wants you for your best, to do your best, and so, I think if kids understand that you love them and you have their back, they'll run through a brick wall for you, and that's kind of what I learned from him. Is that obviously the standard is high, but if he knows you have the potential to meet it, he's going to push you to that. So.
And talk about that transition. When did he want you to come on as the coach? And how did that sort of happen?
I like to say it's by happenstance, but I don't think anything is coincidence. I think I'm right where I was supposed to be, and so some things worked out where I was able to kind of come in under him, and he's been able to mentor me, in a way that I think is really, especially this year, you've seen where I think a lot of people kind of have counted us out early. I think but because of the things that he established, and then some of the things we talked about, just making sure that the transition has been much easier than people would have liked for us to have. So.
And last year, was this retirement sort of expected? Was there an ease of the changing of the guard, or how did that work?
Honestly, I think nobody. I don't think anybody really knows when they're gonna retire or just kind of give it to someone else. I think it just just kind of happened, and so obviously I was very excited to have the opportunity. And really excited to work with the girls that I've pretty much coached since they were in 6th grade. So.
And now talk about expectations for you. Of course, we've seen the last 6-year run for you guys, making it to the state tournament 4 times. What are the expectations for you?
Especially for us being a young team, I really just wanted to instill in the girls early. We're not trying to prove anybody wrong. We're just trying to prove ourselves right. And so, showing up every single day, putting the work in. And obviously, you can't predetermine, what's going to happen. But I think if you show up every single day and you commit to a standard, good things tend to happen, And so that's just kind of been our motto: just work hard every day, show up, and do what we know we can do.
And talk about that roster. How many players have you returned from last year?
So we have 2. So we graduated 7 seniors, and obviously they were a big part of that tradition of making the state tournament. And so with this group, obviously, again, there's been some growing pains even for me, for them. But I think, as we've gotten to this point in the season, they've been able to kind of accept and step into the role and, kind of fill some of those spots in those areas where now they're a little bit more settled in, a little bit more sure of themselves. And I think that's going to be very good for us down the road.
And so this is pretty much a fresh start with coach and team. stepping into the school year for you guys, basically.
Yes, absolutely.
And now talk about what fans can sort of expect to see from you guys.
I'm sorry, one more time.
What can fans expect to see from you guys this year?
Like I said, just, Lady Raider brand basketball, playing hard, playing tough, flying around on defense, and then, trying to create the best opportunities for ourselves on offense.
And now being able to hang another banner like this year, what would that be like for you?
I don't think it's, even for me, I think it would just be for the girls. Like I said, they've sacrificed so much, and obviously that's what you want, but, basketball, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes high school basketball fun. You just don't know. And so hopefully, one day we can make them proud, hopefully this year, but if not, that still doesn't change what the Lady Raider tradition is, which is, showing up every single day to work hard, and to grow these young women, and, good moral character and, just as young women, as they get older, so.